What an incredible film, and what an incredible director. Hi, I'm Brenda Paskey, and I'm here to present my four-part series, The Meaning of Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive is a film by David Lynch. It came out in 2001 and has been at the top of the list for best movies of the century, and even all time. People find it beautiful and mysterious, but inexplicable. Well, I am here to tell you with a very simple shift in scenes, the whole thing becomes straightforward and comprehensible. Trust me. So you might ask, will knowing the truth destroy the magic symbolized by this fecund red pepper bursting with seeds? Well, yes, I'm afraid it will, but I think the truth is worth it. So I'm going to debunk two very popular theories, starting right off. The first, that it was just a dream. It was not a dream. Nobody was dreaming. No dreams. It's not real, but it's not a dream. It's just presented in a dreamlike fashion to draw us in. It is also not a failed pilot. David Lynch had a bad experience in Dune. He lost creative control, so he insisted on it for this pilot. Got $7 million out of the studio for a show that could never be on prime time. What with the constant cigarette smoking, the murders, the dog poos, very important dog poos, as you will discover. He insisted on them all. So he just said, well, then I dreamed up an end and made it into a feature film. That was his story, and he stuck to it. But I feel like it was carefully constructed from the beginning. Not a facial expression, not a whisper, nothing in this film is by accident. And the end is pointed straight to the moment at the end of the original pilot where the two blondes look at themselves in the mirror, and it goes right into the final resolution. So this movie raises many questions. It's a rose. De Rosa. Could it be any more obvious? There are a lot of mysteries in Mulholland Drive, and I know the answers to maybe 95% of them. And when you hear them, you will probably say to yourself, oh, that was obvious. How did I not see it? Why are there two Camilla roads? Why did Eyebrow Man dream twice? Why did the cowboy see the corpse twice? Who do you see twice if you've done bad? Why the two apartments and Diane's switch with De Rosa? What's with the theme of two empty chairs? I think you can see there's a repetition of the idea of doubling twos of things. That's deliberate on David Lynch's part. Why is Rita afraid of the police? How does Diane know a hitman? Who is Eyebrow Man, the cowboy, Mr. Roque, Blue Hair Lady, De Rosa? David Lynch himself said the characters in this film are struggling with identity. It's very important. Why does Betty shake at Club Silencio? Why does the Winkies monster glide? What's up with those 8 cigarettes, and especially that one with the red lipstick? Why 7 dog poos? What about that golf club? Where's the red lamp? And what is the horrible secret in the blue box? David Lynch gave us 10 clues, and I'm going to call them out as we come to them in this movie. But I'll answer one right now. Where is Aunt Ruth? Aunt Ruth is in hell for her terrible crimes. So I have formulated 11 kind of more useful clues to this movie. I'm going to go more deeply into them in my next video. For now, just take a look, and I'm just going to mention the first one. This is a deeply religious movie. Yeah, I didn't say the Christian religion. David Lynch was not a Christian, he was a Buddhist. He believed in the afterlife and reincarnation, and that thread runs all the way through this movie. So DeRosa is the concerned neighbor lady, and she is way more important than you think. There's a lot of things in this movie that are way more important than you think. But let's get back to the shift in scenes. This will make everything make sense. So this is the movie as presented by David Lynch. We have double bookends that stay in place. The purple dance, the red sheets, blondes in space, and silencio. In between are three unequal sections, each punctuated by a death. We start with quasi-reality. Some of these scenes are actually real. They actually happen. They're just kind of disguised. We go to complete unreality, some more enclosed spaces, possibilities, sparkly, and then the cowboy wakes us up to the harsh reality of Diane's existence. So to make sense of this, just take reality from death to death and move it to the front. Super duper simple. You just do it like this. So there you go. Makes sense now, right? We start with the purple dance. That is a super important scene, and I am going to analyze it very extensively a little later in this video. Then we go to the red sheets, which I will explain in 3 words. It's Aunt Ruth. 2 words. She's dead. The cowboy wakes us up into the cruel, harsh reality of Diane's existence, interrupted by the red lamp, which, yes, it's out of sequence, but kind of makes sense. Then Diane shoots herself. I say shoots herself because she might not be dead. There's a case to be made that she just, messed herself up and is now a horrible monster behind Winkies like she deserves to be, but I don't think so. I think she died. Then we go into a period of quasi-reality after that. Bunch of unrelated people, weird incidents, none of it's unrelated. All of it means something, and it ends in a death. The death of Adam. Yep, Adam died. He's dead. Sorry. Then we go on to the judgment period, and then Blondes in Space, and the final conclusion, Silencio. So I'd like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to 2 entities who were a huge help in formulating all my theories. One was you, Rasfan, a Reddit user with a very unique view of this movie and who pointed out the scissor blades behind Luigi and came up with a definitive explanation of Eyebrow Man in the diner and why he's floating around. The other is a website, mulhollanddrive.net, dedicated to this movie. It's kind of defunct now, but it's just got a wealth of theories and comments. I read every single one, and everything kind of came together. And like you, my first feeling when I read some of them was, that's ridiculous. And then it started to sink in what was really going on. I would also like to say that I have lived in Los Angeles for over 10 years now, and not many people are aware, but we have our own Canada in Los Angeles, LA Canada, or La Cañada as we call it, and it is 15 miles northeast of Hollywood. And in between, Hollywood and La Cañada is forest lawn. So when I first saw this movie, I accidentally saw it in the correct chronology. So I had to jump on things that most people don't. I'm flipping through the channels. I see this crazy cowboy trying to wake up an obviously dead woman. I watch to the end, and Diane shoots herself. And it's so fascinating. I wrap it around and start from the beginning. But I knew as Diane descends into the city of the angels, accompanied by this radiant being, it was obvious she was already dead and would be for the rest of the movie. That's how shooting yourself in the head works. So I hope you are not cheating and watching the explanation before the movie. It deserves to be seen in the order God or the creator, David Lynch, intended. I'm going to present it my way. So if you haven't seen it, turn this off, watch it his way for the maximum emotional impact. I will warn you that there are 3 triggers you would want to be aware of. Number 1, this movie has lesbians. Number 2, there is a gruesome dead body that I spoke about, and the camera lingers on that dead body, and it should, because there's 4 clues that who that body is, and actually it isn't Diane. The third thing is the on-screen gun suicide of Diane. It's surprisingly not gruesome. A lot of the violence in this film is disguised or hidden. It's like a Greek tragedy where all the violence happens off stage. We will watch it and see death and not even realize what we just saw. One exception, though, is the death of a heavy-set older woman who's shot in the back. And that's played for laughs, and I don't feel personally attacked at all. I believe David Lynch was calling out the inherent sexism of society in this and several other scenes, and I'm going to harp on that later. But just let's say this movie definitely passes the Bechdel test. Look it up. So here's the red pepper I was going on about earlier. There's actually 3 of them. They're on the counter in, quote, Aunt Ruth's kitchen, and nobody really notices them. But here's Betty with a furious expression and a knife behind her back standing beside them in the kitchen. They've been chopped to bits. So I have watched Mulholland Drive maybe 30 times, 3 of them at half speed. Yes, I am that obsessed. And I came to the conclusion that David Lynch had a message, a clear message that he wasn't going to share directly on the screen, but it informs many of his movies. And the reason he's not clear about it is because many people would not even watch this film if they knew what the message was, especially his fans. I myself do not agree with the message, and that we disagreed on something so fundamental kept me from seeing what the message was. He's trying to get to us subliminally. He's trying to get there emotionally. He's trying to gently guide us to his truth through feelings. I mean, in your heart, don't you know? We saw the cowboy twice. I'm going to point out these subliminals as we go along, and you are going to be surprised at how much you missed. So here's a still from about 20 minutes into the movie. Betty is at the airport bidding farewell to Irene, and she's quite overwhelmed. What do we see? Do we see Betty's radiant, young, smiling face? Well, what is that on the back of Irene's neck? That's a huge bruise. It's not a shadow. How did that happen? I'll tell you how it happened. Betty beat the crap out of Irene on the airplane to the afterlife because Betty is a liar, Betty is a bully, Betty is a thief, and yes, Betty is Diane. This should be no surprise. We saw Diane put out a hit on Camila in the reality section. So, and this, I can't even call it subliminal. It's right there in your face. There's many clues in this movie that are right there in our face. It's why two policemen / archangels are following them down the escalator. It's why Betty wears a silver manacle on her right wrist for almost the whole movie. I bet that didn't register, but she's wearing it in almost every scene. So why me? Why have I been able to figure out this movie when nobody really has in 24 years? Well, I have a lot of unique attributes. Number one, I am older than Alaska. Look it up. I'm not quite of David Lynch's generation, but I remember those times. I remember what people were worried about. I remember what they were excited about. And I remember the slang recorded here in my little black book. Number two, I have red hair. That means I am sexy and dangerous, and I know the name of Adam's first wife. Not that Adam. It's why he's called Adam, though. Third, my mother was an attorney and a judge. And I myself have been in a courtroom for, some reasons. So I recognize the courtroom scenes. Courtroom scenes? There were courtroom scenes? Yeah, well, we call them trials or auditions, whatever. And, I saw the attorney pantomiming the assault, and it may or may not have happened, whatever. Then I own a pair of these. Fiskars? Yeah, it means I recognize them when I see them on the screen. And last, my partner was a barista in Rome, and this is a proper espresso cup. Not this tinkly little thing with whatever swell they were serving Luigi. I'd have thrown it up too. I am now going to take over 10 minutes to analyze the first scene in this movie, the purple dance. Yeah, that's like 10 times as long as it takes to actually watch this 90-second scene, but there's just a wealth of information in there. And it flashes by so fast, it's just not fair. I had to slow it down. I've been in dance class all my life, and I had to watch it 3 times in slow motion to really get all the information. But remember, David Lynch himself said that there were 2 important clues before the credits. And by 2 important clues, I believe he meant 20. Yes, there's a lot of information in there. This is the distant past, events that set this whole movie in motion. And everybody watches this scene, they love it, and then they immediately forget it because we all forget the past. But the past does not forget us. It's in 2 major parts. They are 2 distinct events. The first part, Adam and Diane are both in that scene. You just can't see them. Not only that, but it's not a matter of just watching. You have to listen. I'm going to pause occasionally to draw your attention to important things. It actually starts out with a foreign phrase that is in Czech. It took me forever to find out what that phrase was. And it's basically, hey, let's play it again, okay? And that speaks to the repetition and the retrying. That is a basic theme of this movie. So let's watch. The first person you see will be the last person you see, and the most important character in this movie. There's 4 couples dancing. We only see 3 at first. They introduce themselves. Black and white gal and diamond shirt guy. And that's gotta be Aunt Ruth dancing with a guy in a red shirt. Wonder what her part is. Oh, she's up in the air with her legs spread. What could it possibly mean? Well, she's pretty good. I'm impressed. Oh, did she slip? Seems a bit reckless. Look at her go, though. She's got to be the best one. Oh, here comes the black and white gal again. Oh, she's up in the air with her legs spread too. What the heck? Did he drop her? That's the couple we've been missing. Gal in beige and another guy in a red shirt. Well, they look like they're okay. Were those car horns? Those are car horns. She's being dragged away. What's going on? Pink blouse seems to be having difficulties. And now 3 beings appear, bathed in celestial light. Those are headlights. This is a car accident. So who are these people? They dance so happily in front of that purple background that denotes human potential. We know all of them. There's 3 couples that are obvious at the first, and then a 4th one that is hidden. But here is the woman. She's sort of blending into the black and white dancer, and it's not obvious, but they are dressed the same. They both wear white socks and shoes, a flared skirt, a short-sleeved high-neck sweater. She's just in more boring beige colors, like a dim, forgotten shadow. A shadow sister. And not just a sister, a twin sister. I did not say identical twins. Here we see her again, and the sparklies on the front of her sweater are more obvious. I believe that denotes great singing talent, and you'll see it on many of the characters in this movie. Oh, and there's our first glimpse, and she looks dead. The guy looks very upset. He's wearing the red shirt that denotes guilt and bad deeds. Whatever is happening, he's responsible. So what are their names? Well, I can confidently say that her name is Margarita Louisa X. I do know her last name. I'm going to withhold it for now. And his name, I just call him Juan. His last name is DeRosa. And he has a connection to the concerned neighbor lady whose name is also DeRosa in the reality section. And here we see him in reality. So the dance was obviously from like the 1950s. And here he is gazing into a car dejectedly as Adam makes out with his leading lady. And the odd thing is, he hasn't aged in 30 years. He's the same age he was. We see the couple again when they scare Rita into the bushes at Havenhurst, and they keep her from proceeding. So who is her twin? She looks vaguely familiar. Oh, it's Coco. She's got the black and white. She's got the chubby cheeks. It is Nicoletta Coco Caterina X. Yeah, a lot of people have two names. We know her name is Catherine from the script, but Nicoletta, the nickname is Coco. And lots of people have two names, and then they have their family name. And sometimes they have a nickname, and sometimes they have a stage name. So if you want to keep people straight, you might want to keep that in mind. And who is the guy she is dancing with? Who could it be but Adam's French dad, William Wally Kesher? Yeah, he's French. You heard him say voila. Yep, he has been waiting a long time in the afterlife to settle his karmic debt. Then we have Aunt Ruth and her companion. I think Aunt Ruth is just her professional name. Some people point out the A untruth, and there is a lot of falsehoods about her. I know her last name is Gonzalez. Her first name is probably Anna. So I'm calling her Ana Teresa Gonzalez, Antigone. Get it? And she's dancing with Uncle Jack. How do I know his name is Jack? Well, he appears at Betty's trial. There he is listening to her testimony intently. You can see the resemblance, the receding hairline, the slightly doofy look, and he's staring at her butt, really. And last of all, we have the pink blouse lady with her tall, skinny companion. And he's a bit scary looking, and he drags her around and tosses her like a rag doll. Well, she's an excellent dancer. And at the end, everyone cheers for Betty. Surely, she is Betty, Beatrice. And who is she dancing with? Well, I don't think he's a real person. I think he's death. He's got these hooded eyes. He's quite skeletal. He's very kind of scary looking. And who is Betty? Well, there's the back of her pink blouse. Does it remind you of anybody? Yeah, Betty the perky waitress. She had a literal name tag saying, Betty, I'm Betty. Get it? And the odd thing is she too is the same age she was 30 years ago when that jitterbug dance was popular. Then we have these three glowing celestial beings. I call them the Oldsters and Diane. Some people think it's her grandparents. I think they are equals. They are not really older than her. They may be wiser than her. But this pose reminds me of this. They are equals. They're not old. They're just very wrinkly. Now, everything changes. Diane comes to the front. She's the center of attention. There's something around her neck, but her shoulders are bare. Is this an orgy? A porno? A snuff film? Did she supplant the real Betty? Or is it the universal human experience? We've all been there. We've all been thrust naked into a bright room filled with cheering strangers. And they're shouting a name. It's a beautiful name. You think it's your name, but it's not your name. It's your mom's name, Betty.